In the summer of 2023, our travel plan was to head to Egypt. But air tickets from Hawaii to Egypt were crazy expensive, so I looked around to see if I could find a cheaper way to get to Egypt. And it turned out that we could get a really good deal on a round-trip flight from Hawaii to Prague. Cool! We've never been to Prague. Let's just fly to Prague, spend a few days there, and then we'll fly down to Egypt. And it turned out that booking those flights was significantly cheaper than just a round trip to Egypt. Cool! Let's do it! But wait, if we go to Prague, it's actually a pretty easy drive down to Croatia. We've never been to Croatia. Cool! And from Croatia, we can also make a quick visit over to Slovenia. We've never been to Slovenia. Cool! And then, driving back to Prague, we will have to pass right through this really beautiful little medieval town in Bohemia. So we can stop there for a bit. Wow! We've never been to a beautiful little medieval town in Bohemia. So cool! And then, of course, we'll need some time to see Prague. So once we get back from visiting all these other places, we want to spend a week or so in Prague. Yeah, this trip is going to be so cool. And then, after we're done with all that, then we'll just cruise down to Egypt. Yeah, in the end, we certainly didn't save any money by flying through Prague. We would have spent a lot less just flying straight to Egypt, even with the higher airfare. But hey, we got to see some really cool places, and it was totally worth it. So we flew to Prague, and a little more than 20 years after Michelle and I first backpacked through Europe together, we grabbed a rental car, pointed it in the general direction of Croatia, and started driving. The driving was actually pretty mellow, until...
Okay, so here we are in Croatia. We're only like 20 minutes maybe outside of Zagreb. So we got close to where we're going today, and there's hail. What the hail, Michelle?
What the hell?
We're all gonna die because of the hail. Okay, wish us luck.
But we didn't die. We got through the What the Hail storm and made it to Zagreb, the capital of Croatia, and a beautiful pedestrian-friendly city. We loved this graffiti-covered alleyway, and we had some fun trying to get good shots of us in between hordes of other tourists who also thought that a graffiti-covered alley was a really cool little spot. We also walked up all these stairs, only to find that a particular city square that we wanted to visit was entirely closed for construction. But any disappointment that we felt was short-lived, because we were about to have what was probably the best dinner we had during our entire trip. We started the meal out with our first strukli. Strukli is a very important dish, especially in this part of Croatia. It consists of a dough that can be stuffed with all kinds of things. This one was stuffed with cheese, and it was fantastically good. Cheesy, salty, fatty, and satisfying. And then we had some cured ham, olives, and cheese. The ham was as good as anything we have ever had in Spain. Sorry, Spain, you're still my favorite food destination in Europe overall. And let me tell you about those olives. They were to die for. Michelle gobbled down even the green olives, and Michelle generally does not like green olives. These were special. And then this was amazing. It's a pork tenderloin. Well, here, I'll tell you about it.
Okay, so here's our main course. So this is agram. So it's a pork. The menu said a pork fillet. It looks like it was maybe a tenderloin, and it's stuffed with pumpkin and some goat's cheese, and then it was called lamb's lettuce. And it smells amazing, and everything else we just finished eating was fantastic. Whoa, so we're excited for this.
Yeah, it was great. I would go back to Zagreb just to eat at this place again. It was an excellent meal. You should go there. We fell into a bit of a food coma, had a nice sleep at our hotel, and the next morning we were off. The plan was to drive from Zagreb to a region called Istria, so we hit the road.
So this is on our way to Istria, Croatia.
But that was a lie. We were not, in fact, driving towards Istria. We should have been going this direction. But oh no. All of this driving, all these miles, all of this time, we were actually heading towards Bosnia. At some point, we figured out that we were going the wrong way and turned around. In the end, I think the route we actually took looked a little bit something like this. But our family travel motto is everything always works out. And this too worked out. We just had some snacks and enjoyed the trip. Now, most of the countries that we drove through on this trip have stopped using toll booths. Instead, you buy a pass called a vignette. This is usually a sticker that you put in your windshield, and when you have this sticker, you don't have to stop to pay tolls. Croatia hasn't started using vignettes, however, so every now and then we had to stop and pay a toll. And finally, about 3 hours later than it should have happened, we started to see the little hilltop towns characteristic of Istria. We passed through the countryside on the way to the town we would spend the night in, Motovun. This is our hotel in Motovun. The actual town is up there on top of the hill. And we had lunch reservations, so we started walking up, up, up. There are very few cars allowed in the upper part of the city, but there are countless cobblestone alleyways to wander. There are views of the countryside, and there are small squares built in front of churches, and any of these things can surprise you as you round a corner. But we focused on one thing, really: truffle lunch. This is Mondo, a place famous for simple food covered in black truffles. Istria is famous for truffles, so we wanted to make sure we got in on the truffle action. We grabbed a seat outside and got ready to chow down.
So here we go, first truffles in Motovun in Istria. Smells like truffles. Mostly you taste the olive oil, and of course it's fantastically good olive oil, so it's good.
We had a nice lunch. We got this plate of some kind of pasta. You could hardly even see the pasta. It was under so much truffle. And it was good. And we got this plate of truffle-doused ravioli. It was also good. We had a good lunch, but we both agreed that the olive oil was actually better than the truffles. But that olive oil was really, really good. So that doesn't have to be a bad thing. After lunch, we slowly but surely crawled our way back down the hill and reclaimed the rental car. We were off to explore some of the nearby towns of Istria. We first headed to the quaint and very picturesque in a cute sort of way town of Bale. Bale was a small town, and we spent a couple of hours just wandering aimlessly. We did take a break from our wandering to be serenaded by a hidden choir that for a brief bit of that magical afternoon filled the tiny town with haunting harmony. You gotta love Europe. After Bale, our next stop was the larger city of Rovinj. Rovinj sits right on the Adriatic Sea. Its streets were a bit bigger than Bale's, but we stuck with our main strategy to wander aimlessly. And, for the first time in our lives, we managed to find something that was not only named gelato, but was, in fact, gelato outside of Italy. Although in all fairness, Rovinj is not very far outside of Italy.
And we're in Rovinj, Croatia, and so Michelle is about to check it out.
It's good.
It's good, but is it gelato? It's gonna take me a few bites, I think, but it might be gelato. We are like in spitting distance of Italy here, so that would make sense, but okay, I gotta get in there before Michelle eats it all. Bye-bye.
But to really appreciate the beauty of Rovinj, you need to get a little distance. So I sat by the sea and I flew my drone out away from the shore to look back at this city that at one time was actually an island, but was later connected to the mainland and so became the peninsula that it is today. We sat there, Michelle and I, by the Adriatic and watched the sunlight fade on another wonderful day, sadly, our last full day in Croatia. But before we left Croatia, I got one last quiet morning. I got up before the sun and drove just far enough away to get a bit of distance between me and Motovun's hillside streets. Once again, I launched my drone to get a look from above and away. And I watched the sun come up on the sleeping city. I love mornings. Give me the quiet, still of a morning in a beautiful location, and I am just about as happy as I ever get. And this was a great morning. We had spent only 2 days in Croatia. That was the nature of this whirlwind road trip we were on. But, as I would say so many times in this non-stop gallivant stretching from Prague to Zagreb, we were going to need to come back to Croatia and give it the time and attention it so clearly deserves. But for now, we need to put this morning in the rearview mirror and get ourselves over the border into Slovenia.